You most likely believe that keeping your favorite foods fresh in the refrigerator is the best thing to do. However, what if I told you that habit could be subtly endangering your brain, particularly at night? I realize this seems dramatic, but there's a correlation between the foods we eat and the silent strokes that strike people our age without any prior notice. Allow me to ask you a question. Ever put leftover pizza in the refrigerator to eat later? Or did you keep your bananas and tomatoes cool to prevent them from going bad? Despite their apparent innocuousness, some cold foods, particularly those heavy in fat, salt, or refined carbohydrates, might cause our blood vessels, make our blood thicker, and subtly increase our risk of stroke in the middle of the night. I'm not attempting to frighten you. Our bodies don't process meals the same way as we age. Therefore, I wish someone had mentioned this to us sooner. When it comes to circulation and brain health, things that were normal in our 40s can suddenly become problematic in our 60s or 70s. This movie isn't about throwing everything in your fridge or outlawing your favorite munchies. It all comes down to awareness and understanding which meals may be subtly harming your heart and brain when cooled, and why consuming them cold could have a significant impact. Please leave a remark if you've ever chilled leftovers, or if you're simply wondering if you've been unintentionally aggravating your health. Hit 0 if you haven't given it any thought. Additionally, remember to sign up for Health 365, where we assist you in safeguarding your heart and brain each and every night. Let's now examine the first meal that may be more detrimental than beneficial when consumed cold. Something that may take you by surprise. Tomatoes. Yes, those vibrant, luscious fruits that we adore in sauces, salads, and sandwiches. When kept at, tomatoes actually experience a minor alteration in cold temperatures, such as those found in your refrigerator, that most people are unaware of. Their inherent antioxidants, particularly lycopene, which typically aids in reducing blood vessel inflammation, are diminished by the cold. Now, why is this important? As a result, your body has fewer resources to minimize inflammation. Additionally, inflammation might raise the chance of microvascular irritation or tiny clots when it seeps into the artery lining, particularly at night when you're sleeping. That's a warning sign for someone who already has excessive cholesterol or weak circulation. According to a University of California research, tomatoes kept in the refrigerator had considerably reduced levels of lycopene in a matter of days. There's more to that loss than just nutrition. There may be a vascular risk. Additionally, if you like cold tomato slices or pre-made tomato salads straight out of the refrigerator, this minor detail may gradually erode the health of your vessels. Try keeping tomatoes on the counter at ambient temperature instead. They are healthier for you and taste better. Don't worry if you already have some in the refrigerator. Simply change the way you store things going forward. Let's go on to another delicious pleasure that might not be as sweet for your circulation. Since we're talking about cold and dangerous, a nutritious fruit high in potassium that most of us take for granted. This is where things become complicated, though. Refrigerating bananas, especially for an extended period of time, can change their texture and slightly modify its vascular impact. This chilly shock is more than simply a taste experience for elderly people with weakened circulation. It concerns the body's reaction to thick, cold food. Mild vasoconstriction may result from eating cold bananas. This implies that your blood vessels, particularly the little ones, can slightly constrict. Now, that small restriction can have a significant impact on blood flow at night if your vessels are already stressed by aging, drugs, or long-term illnesses like diabetes. According to a Journal of Geriatric Nutrition study, meals that are sensitive to cold temperatures may cause increased resistance in the periphery. To put it simply, your heart must use more effort to pump blood through constricted veins. It's not a big deal, but if it occurs while you're asleep and your blood pressure naturally drops, it could lead to leg cramps, lightheadedness, or even worse, a vascular event. So, which is the wiser course of action? Bananas should be kept at room temperature. Slice and chill right before eating if you prefer them, that way rather than storing them in the fridge for an extended period of time. Your heart and vessels will appreciate it. Let's now discuss a refrigerator classic that most people overlook: pizza leftovers. Pizza, it is the preferred comfort food. Additionally, the leftovers frequently end up in the refrigerator for tomorrow. However, the majority of people are unaware of this. Convenience isn't the only reason for cold pizza. It poses a covert risk to your blood, particularly at night. Consider the contents of that slice. Saturated fats from the cheese and meat toppings, refined wheat from the crust, and typically a generous amount of salt. When consumed cold, that mixture can cause blood thickening and blood vessel tension while you sleep. Triglyceride levels can rise within hours after consuming high-fat meals, particularly those that are consumed late and cold, according to a study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Furthermore, high triglycerides don't just lurk around. They increase the viscosity of your blood and slow its flow. Consider attempting to force molasses through a straw. Your arteries are up against that. More worrisome is the fact that your body automatically reduces circulation when you sleep. The chance of clots forming rises if your blood is already thicker and more sluggish due to cold, fatty leftovers. A apparently innocuous midnight snack can increase the risk of stroke in this way. What can you do, then? If you truly want pizza, reheat it. Otherwise, before bed, try something lighter. Your morning health shouldn't be sacrificed to satisfy your late-night cravings. Speaking of oily leftovers, let's examine a beloved dish that is frequently overlooked. Chicken that has been fried. Chicken that has been fried. It is satisfying, crispy, and if there is any left over, it almost always ends up in the refrigerator. After supper, however, the frying oils start to oxidize as it cools. This indicates that the fats decompose into substances that may subtly irritate your blood vessels. Additionally, those oxidized lipids from eating that cold leftover drumstick, particularly late in the day, cause inflammation in addition to simply passing through your system. Lipid peroxides, which are known to impair endothelial function, are present in cold fried or reheated dishes, according to a Cleveland Clinic clinical evaluation. Your blood vessels' delicate coating is what keeps them open and flexible. This damage accumulates over time, stiffening and increasing the likelihood of blockages in your vessels. Additionally, if your blood, because vessels are already somewhat worn down by aging or diseases like hypertension, this additional irritation could be sufficient to cause them to malfunction. It feels like repeatedly prodding a bruise. After a while, something gives. A night of poor circulation brought on by such meals can raise the risk of a clot silently forming while you sleep for many seniors, particularly those over 60. To counterbalance the effect of cold fried chicken, think about removing the breading and slowly reheating the flesh. You can also serve it with greens. It's not about sacrificing your passions. It's about making it easier for your body to deal with it. Now, let's look more closely at another chilled favorite, those creamy mayo-based salads. Mayo-based salads, such as egg salad, tuna salad, or even those deli-style macaroni mixes, may seem harmless, cool, creamy, and easy to eat. But when kept in the refrigerator for longer than a day or two, they can subtly become a vascular hazard because the combination of protein and fat, when kept cold over time, can start to develop microtoxins that irritate blood vessels and interfere with normal circulation. USDA Food Safety Division research shows that chilled protein-fat mixtures, such as mayonnaise and eggs, are breeding grounds for slow bacterial activity and chemical degradation. They may not appear or smell rotten, but these substances have the ability to infiltrate your body and cause minor inflammation, particularly in the heart and brain's fragile microvascular system. Additionally, these salads frequently include high levels of sodium and preservatives, which can cause blood pressure changes and mild to moderate fluid retention overnight. That is a surefire way for older folks to have inadequate vascular healing as they sleep, a period of time when your body ought to be recovering rather than battling inflammation. Here's a little tip, then. Prepare these salads in lesser quantities and consume them right away. To reduce oxidation and exposure to temperature fluctuations, it is preferable to let them go after more than 48 hours of sitting and to always keep them in airtight containers. Are you prepared for another surprise? Let's slightly widen that refrigerator door because you might not be benefiting from those canned products and pickled vegetables either. Pickles may appear to be a healthier option. Low-fat, crunchy, and ideal for a fast snack. Here's the catch, though. The majority of canned sour meals and pickled vegetables are high in salt. a pinch that is strong enough to cause tiny vessel spasms, particularly at night when your blood pressure normally drops. This can be a serious problem for anyone with sensitive arteries or a history of hypertension. According to a thorough review by the American Heart Association, consuming a lot of sodium, even from preserved vegetables, can eventually cause the arteries to narrow and lose their flexibility. Stiffness like that does more than only make your heart work harder. Additionally, it raises the likelihood of nighttime strokes when there is already a decreased rate of circulation. It's also worth reconsidering if you like a dollop of sauerkraut with dinner or a cold dill pickle before bed. Although you may not feel the effects of that salt right away, it can draw fluids into your bloodstream, raise your blood pressure, and cause your vessels to strain silently while you sleep. Before eating, consider washing your pickles. If at all possible, switch to low-sodium versions. Only when carefully balanced, and particularly as we age, may fermented foods be beneficial to our health. From salty to sweet, immediately. Let's discuss that seemingly innocuous bowl of ice cream or frozen dessert that is sitting in the freezer. It may be a cold piece of cheesecake or a dollop of vanilla ice cream. Pleasant, reassuring, and frequently calming. However, there's a silent danger beneath that smooth exterior. Cold fat and sugar work together to do more than just sate your sweet desire. It may cause low-level irritation in your tiny veins and thicken your blood. Diets heavy in saturated fats and refined sugars, especially when taken cold, can damage endothelial function and increase blood levels of C-reactive protein, a sign of inflammation, according to a study published in the journal Stroke. Can you guess when those levels usually reach their peak? Consider your veins as a tiny garden throughout the night, when your body is meant to be resting and healing. Hoses. It is similar to attempting to push sugar through thick, inflammatory blood arteries. The outcome is a higher cardiac workload and an increased risk of microclot formation, particularly in the early morning hours when strokes are most frequent. Dessert is still acceptable despite this. Try eating them earlier in the day in smaller portions, or at room temperature in place of fruit-based treats. It's about steering your delight in a safer way, not about rejecting it. We have now discussed sweet. What about something that appears innocuous, but has the potential to quickly become heavy? Potatoes, potatoes, potatoes. Gentle. A mainstay on many dinner tables, it's creamy. However, their starch starts to change after being refrigerated and let to cool. It is known as retrogradation in science. When starches are cooked, they change into a form that is more difficult for your body to digest. And while your body is settling down for the night, older folks may experience bloating, slower digestion, and decreased blood flow as a result of that transition. A study published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition claims that cooled carbohydrates, such as those in chilled mashed potatoes, promote fermentation in the gastrointestinal tract. This entails increased gas, pain, and in certain cases, a minor inflammatory reaction. Additionally, a sluggish or inflammatory gut might increase the strain on your circulatory system, particularly in the lower limbs and abdomen. This could manifest as lightheadedness in your legs, agitation before bed, or even disturbed sleep due to stress in your abdomen. Additionally, slow circulation may indicate that your blood isn't flowing through weak or constricted veins as smoothly as it should if you already have vascular problems. Make smaller servings of mashed potatoes that don't need to be stored in the refrigerator rather than reheating a cold bowl. Or, if you do keep them in the fridge, reheat them up with some olive oil. It promotes heart health and facilitates easy digestion. Afterward, let's examine those. We frequently forget that pasta salads have the same dangers. Cold pasta salads make a simple leftover lunch or are frequently a favorite at potlucks and summer barbecues. However, that tasty, creamy mixture may cause more problems for your blood vessels than it first appears. A triple threat is present in the majority of pasta salads. Cheese, deli meats, and mayonnaise are all high in sodium and saturated fat. Additionally, your body must work harder to metabolize those fats when they are provided cold, which might decrease circulation and raise the chance of tiny artery blockages. According to a Harvard School of Public Health clinical report, chilling post-meal blood lipid levels were considerably elevated by foods high in saturated fat, particularly when paired with foods high in sodium. Your digestive system is not the only thing that gets strained by this combo. It thickens your blood, which makes it more difficult for it to flow through your smallest blood arteries, particularly at night when your circulation naturally slows down. Even though you might not see it right away, your heart does. In an effort to maintain the blood flowing via constricted, hardened routes, it pumps harder. This extra work may eventually wear you down. Additionally, during the silent hours of the night, that pressure might be the trigger for a vascular event or clot. Do you want a more secure version? Use pasta made with whole grains. Reduce the amount of salty meats, and use Greek yogurt to thin the mayo. Serve it fresh rather than just out of the refrigerator. The change will be felt by your vessels. Let's conclude with one last refrigerator. Typical leftover sauces and gravy. Leftover sauces and gravy. They appear innocuous and are frequently kept in a tiny jar in a refrigerator corner. However, their effects on your vascular health can be anything from little. The majority of gravies, particularly those prepared from meat drippings, are heavy in salt and animal fats. The fat in these sauces hardens and becomes more difficult to digest when they cool, forming a sticky substance that puts strain on your vessels and thickens your blood. According to a research in the Journal of Nutrition, high-fat, high-sodium sauces contribute to increased blood viscosity and the production of fibrin, a protein implicated in clot formation, especially when taken cold or heated. This implies that when you sleep, your blood gets thicker and more likely to clot silently. This is particularly dangerous at night when your blood pressure normally falls and your heart rate decreases. Strokes most frequently happen between 3 and 5 in the morning. Additionally, you may be creating the ideal environment for an undetected blood clot to form if you just finished a hearty helping of gravy on your meat or potatoes before bed. Here is a gentle change. Before preserving sauces, remove any excess fat. Use smaller amounts and thoroughly reheat. Even better, choose for broth and olive oil-based herb-based sauces. They taste better, are lighter, and are far more kind on your heart. Many of the meals we enjoy, such as sweet pastries and creamy salads, might subtly harm us if they are kept cold and consumed carelessly. But fear isn't the issue here. It's about developing basic, considerate body care skills. It's not necessary for your refrigerator to be a dangerous place. It can be transformed into a healing and supportive space with a few thoughtful adjustments. Recall that a single meal or error does not increase the risk of stroke. Both it and protection grow over time. Every tiny change you make will lead to better circulation, more restful sleep, and a healthier tomorrow. Leave a 1 in the comments if the video today made you think, or a 0 if you've never heard of this before. Additionally, if you haven't already, become a member of the Health 365 family. Click subscribe, and let's continue our education together. Be careful. Treat your body with kindness